I think anybody would assume that it's difficult to be sick. I think that part is kind of extremely obvious, that being sick 24/7 is undesirable and difficult and something that you wouldn't want to go through. That part is pretty clear. Because I think everybody knows what it's like to feel sick. Everybody has been, unless you're some sort of superhuman or something, everybody has gotten colds or the flu, strep throat, stomach flu, I don't know, even allergies sometimes can make you feel sick. So I do think that everybody knows what it's like to feel sick. But I don't think that everybody knows what it's like to feel sick all the time and be chronically ill, because most people don't have to deal with that. That's not a reality for a lot of people. And I think that's one of the reasons why chronic illness is so misunderstood, because people assume that they know what it's like since they've felt sick before. If you've had a cold before, you know what that's like, and you know that that doesn't feel good. So you can sympathize for us as much as saying, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm sure that doesn't feel good. But there's so many components that go into being chronically ill that you don't have to deal with typical illnesses that come and go, like a cold or the flu or stomach flu, all that. And I think definitely one of them is the long-term wearing of emotional and mental health. Because it sucks to have the cold, don't get me wrong. And if you're sick for a few days, you might miss going out and seeing your friends, but you know that you will go out and see them in a week or so when you're better. And if it doesn't take a week or so and it's a week and a half, that still really sucks, but you know that there's going to be an end to the suffering. You know that you're not going to suffer forever, and you know that you will be able to go and do the things that you like to do again. You know that with typical illness. The problem with chronic illness is you don't know if there's an end. It's like you are fighting every single day, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard chronically ill people call themselves warriors and stuff, but you only really understand, it's difficult to understand what that means. Because when you are a chronically ill person, you're fighting every day, but what you're fighting for is the basic fundamental things that are necessary for survival. When somebody is chronically ill, their body is unable to meet the basic necessities for life on its own. And it gets extremely exhausting having to fight for that every single day. Because, dysautonomia, for example, a disorder of the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is all the things that happen in your body without you having to think about it. Do you guys want to see my cat? I can put this down more so you can watch her. Okay, I know that she's probably more interesting than me, but that doesn't mean you can stop listening to me, but you can admire her. Her name is Addie. I love her. I forgot what I was saying. The autonomic nervous system is everything that happens in your body automatically, the stuff that you don't have to think about. So if you put your hand on your heart here, you can feel your heart beating. And part of that is it's circulating your blood to different parts of your body so that your body can get the necessary oxygen and nutrients and, whatever, and fuel and blood that your body needs. That's part of what the heart is for. That's kind of the main function, is to circulate your blood. And blood pressure is also necessary to that. And if your blood pressure and heart rate don't cooperate, your blood is not going to circulate like it's supposed to. So something that you used to not ever have to think about, you suddenly have to think about 24/7, every second of every day, or something bad might happen. And that goes the same for things with digestion. So when you eat something, you put it in your mouth and you chew it, you can taste it, you can tell if it's good or bad or whatever, and then when you swallow it, it goes into your stomach, and from there it goes into your intestines and the rest of your digestion tract, and eventually it comes out. And that's not something that you really have to think about. Most people only think about what goes in their mouth, because that should be all you have to worry about, because when it comes to digestion, that's also part of the autonomic nervous system. That is something that should happen automatically, is that your body will take care of it once you get it into your stomach. So part of the deal is you're responsible for feeding yourself, but I'll take care of the rest. Don't worry. I'll just give me food, and then you can get up and go hang out with your friends or do whatever you want to do. That's not the case for me and other people like me. And that's just another example of one of the most basic, simple necessities for life, is digestion is unreliable. It's one of the most basic things. You can't survive without eating. And if eating makes you sick, what do? If you need to exercise to be strong, but exercising makes you more sick, what do? If you want to get up and go hang out with your friends, but you can't even rely on your heart rate to beat the way it's supposed to, and you can't rely on your blood pressure to change the way it's supposed to, and you can't rely on your heart rate to keep you conscious. There is no guarantee that if I stand up right now that I will remain conscious, because I cannot rely on it. I have to think about that all the time. Even when I'm sitting, I have to think about it, because if I'm not constantly aware of my surroundings, I will get hurt. So that means taking note of the temperature in the room. For me, it's not only a problem if it's noticeably hot or noticeably cold. Even it's very slight changes in temperature can have very detrimental effects. I could start passing out, or I could start my body temperature could drop, and that can also make me pass out. And blood sugar. I understand like a lot of people, blood sugar is a problem. That's slightly different because there are a lot of people with things like diabetes. So not everybody who is not chronically ill has that luxury of being able to depend on your blood pressure. I mean, your blood sugar, sorry. But that's just one more thing that I can't rely on. I can't rely on a nutrition. I can't rely on my body's ability to take the nutrients that I give it. So if I eat something, it may or may not nourish me. My body may or may not reject it. It may or may not make me feel better. It may or may not make me feel worse. I don't know. There is nothing reliable about my body whatsoever. And I feel like, I'm sorry, can you hear my dog? I love my animals so much. Patches, come here. Come here, baby. Come here. But I think there's a lot of pressure for chronically ill people and disabled people to always be positive. Always keep fighting. We're called warriors, right? Warriors never stop fighting, which is true. If you're chronically ill, giving up is literally not an option, because if you're chronically ill and you decide to give up, that means you don't survive. It's not like other things, like if you have a job or a homework assignment or something that you give up on, you will continue to live. If you are chronically ill and you decide to give up on your body, it's not going to keep fighting for you. People who are not chronically ill don't have to fight for their bodies because their bodies fight for them. If somebody is chronically ill, giving up is literally not an option, because giving up means that you don't survive. Your body will not take over for you. And I feel like there's a very huge pressure on chronically ill people to always smile, put a good face forward, look at how strong I am. Yeah, it's difficult, but I'm still living on with my life because, I have no other choice, and that's true. And that's honestly really great to do a lot of the time, but not always. Sometimes there gets to be a point where you can't do that, and that's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to say, yeah, I'm tired of fighting. And sometimes it's even okay to stop fighting for a little while. And that doesn't mean giving up. Sometimes stopping fighting doesn't mean giving up. Giving up is like a long-term thing. Stopping the fight can be short-term. And I don't know if the way I'm saying that is clear or not. But take today, for example. I'm not having a good day. I could not, it took me forever to even get myself food today because I could not, the brain fog I had was so bad that I couldn't concentrate long enough on what I was doing, or even trying to figure out what I was doing or remember what I was doing to get anything done. So I would say, I need to eat. Okay, what am I going to eat? What was I doing? Okay, I'm gonna go over here. Why did I come over here? I'm gonna go back over there. Oh, I remember why I went over there now. Oh yeah, I need to eat. That's what I needed to do. Okay, now what do I eat? okay, I forgot what I'm doing now. Now I'm thirsty. Now I need to sit down because I'm tired. Do you get the point? Such a simple, extremely basic thing of life is getting up and getting yourself food and water and making sure that your body has that. But sometimes that's impossible. And so sometimes it's okay to just say, I can't do it right now. And I'm not saying, like, don't eat. I did end up getting food. But the world will wait for you for when you're ready again. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You don't have to fight constantly to keep your place in the world. The world will keep a place for you. Maybe not the same place as you were before. Unfortunately, many chronically ill people will not have the same life that they had before they were chronically ill. I don't know if that's the case for me or not. The odds are not in my favor, but there's a chance I could do some of the things that I did before, probably not all of them, but I can't count on it because my goal is not to have the life that I had before. My goal is to have a life that I enjoy. And if sometimes that means lowering your expectations. And that might sound like a bad thing. That might sound like an extremely depressing thing. But when you lower your expectations from here to here, sometimes you bring them to a reasonable level. And then sometimes you begin to focus on things that are actually extremely important that other people who didn't have the same experience as you don't recognize the importance or the significance of. Every time I get up and I go out of my house, I feel like I'm seeing the world for the first time, because being able to leave my house is such a blessing. That is such a huge deal, to be able to go outside and see the trees and feel the sun. And I would not have that appreciation if I was not chronically ill. But that doesn't mean that being chronically ill isn't difficult. So don't feel like you need to fight for your place in the world every second of every day. Do that when you feel ready. But if you don't feel like you can take on the world today, that's okay. That is not a failure. That does not mean you give up. Like I said, giving up is a long-term thing. Stopping fighting is kind of like taking a break. And of course you're going to have to fight to certain degrees. But the world will wait. The world will be there when you're ready. And it's okay to be tired. It's okay to be emotionally exhausted. It's okay to admit that you can't do it right now. Sometimes you just can't do it right now. And you have to just do what you need to do to keep surviving. And sometimes when you're fighting to keep surviving, that's all that you can fight for in that moment. And that's okay. The world will wait. And the right people will wait for you. Not everyone's going to wait for you. I think pretty much every chronically ill person knows that has lost friends or family member support or whatever, because they thought that those people really cared for them before. And people's true colors come out around sick people. People cannot hide their true colors around sick people. I always say the nice people are more nice and the mean people are more mean. So that's one of the perks of being chronically ill, is that people can't be fake around you, at least not for very long. Their true colors come out extremely quickly. And that's one of the hardest things to realize when you become chronically ill. And becoming chronically ill is kind of a grieving process. Because there are different stages to grieving, and there are different stages of grieving when it comes to being chronically ill too, because when you're chronically ill, you're grieving the life you used to have or the person you used to be. But sometimes you look back and realize that you don't want to be the person that you were before, and that you're a better person now because of being chronically ill. And you might still grieve that life that you used to have, or the activities especially, and the ease that came with all of that. When your body fought for you, you didn't have to fight for your body. I'm not going to say fight against your body, because I've realized that's the worst thing to do. I used to fight against my body, trying to keep my place in the world, and then I realized, no, my body is doing what it can. I need to fight for my body, not against it. And that mindset changed so much. It changed how I did a lot of things. But I think people focus so much on the physical aspects of what it is like to be chronically ill. Not a lot of people talk about the emotional aspects. And that's something that needs to begin. I think there is a lot of stigma surrounding mental health topics when it does come to chronically ill people, because there's stigma relating to chronic illness. And one of those stigmas is that chronic illness is caused by mental illness. For years, I was treated for psychiatric disorders that I did not have, when I should have been being treated for a physical illness, because everybody believed it was psychiatric. And enough people told me that it was psychiatric that I began to believe it was psychiatric. And of course, some of it was, but here's the problem. You gotta treat the cause. You can't treat just the symptoms. And if the cause of the psychiatric problems is a physical illness, you need to focus on that physical illness. But that doesn't mean that you can't have emotional problems related to your physical illness. Because of all the things that I just talked about, that is really hard. That is hard work. Anybody would have anyone would get tired. And having anxiety or depression or anything, or even suicidal thoughts that come with having a physical illness, the emotional part is real. And we need to start talking about it, because it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to not feel like you want to fight anymore. But giving up is not an option. And just think about how far you've gotten already. Think about in the past all of the times that you thought, man, this is extremely difficult. I don't know if I can do this. This is too much. This is so hard. I feel awful. Think about all the times that you thought of that. All of those things are in the past now. And one day, this moment right here, I'm sitting right here, one day this moment will be in the past. Right now, it's in the present. When I was talking about the stuff earlier at the beginning of the video, those things that's in the past too. I'm not talking about that anymore. Right now, I'm talking about being here. Because that's what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm right here. And this moment will be in the past one day. And I don't know what the next moment's going to hold. I don't know if the next moment is going to be extremely difficult. It might, and I'm sure that I will have other moments that are extremely difficult. But tomorrow I'll worry about tomorrow. There's a Bible verse that says, let tomorrow worry about itself. There's enough worries today, or something like that, something similar to that. And it's true. The past worried about itself. I don't need to worry about those extremely difficult moments anymore, because I don't have to go through those extremely difficult moments anymore because they're in the past. I might have extremely difficult moments in the future also, but right now I'm here. And I got through that, and I'll get through this. And it's okay to be scared. That's normal. But don't think that you can't do it. Sometimes you won't be able to do it right now. Right now there's some stuff that I'm not going to be able to do, and that's okay. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be able to do it tomorrow, in 2 hours, 2 minutes. It's okay to say, I can't do it right now. I need to be nice to my body, and I can't do it right now. That's okay. And if you have people in your life who make you feel like that's not okay, you need to cut those people out. Because you're really only as strong as the people that are around you. And if you have people around you that are trying to pull you down, it's going to be so much harder. You need to have people who can be a safety net for you. If you fall, you know that those people are going to catch you. And if you don't have people like that in real life, there's a lot of people on YouTube and on there's Facebook groups for chronically ill people that can do that for you. They might not be able to be there with you physically, but we're here. And you're not alone. And we can be each other's safety net. You don't need to be around people who make you feel bad. You have enough fighting to do already. You don't need to be fighting the people around you. That's extremely naive of them to think that you have enough energy to be fighting them when you really need to be fighting for yourself. For people to think that you have enough energy to fight them, they don't understand you. They don't understand your chronic illness, and that's okay. That's their problem. You don't need to make them understand. You don't need to explain yourself. People can be compassionate without understanding. You don't have to understand something to be compassionate about it. My boyfriend is an able-bodied person. He is not chronically ill. He does not have to deal with the stuff that I have to deal with, but he is extremely compassionate towards me. He doesn't understand. I don't think he'll really ever understand what it's like to be me. And that's okay. I don't expect him to be. And actually, I don't really want him to have to understand. And he doesn't need to, because he's compassionate. And you don't need understanding, you need compassion. And if somebody is not giving you compassion, making them understand is not going to make them be compassionate. Because you don't need to understand to be compassionate. And if somebody is not willing to give you compassion, then you don't need to fix that for them. They can fix that for themselves if they want to be in your life. You have enough to deal with. You're super strong. Chronically ill people are some of the most resilient and badass people that have ever lived, I think. Because when you are chronically ill, you have to fight for literally every single thing you have to do, ever. Every single moment you're fighting. Because you're the very basic needs. This is the bottom of what is necessary for life. And anything on top of that is other things. So social skill, like social life, work life, you know, I don't know, environmental. But down here is that autonomic nervous system. If your body cannot meet the basic baseline for you, you have to do it yourself. And so you are holding up your autonomic nervous system yourself and everything above it. When people who are not chronically ill don't have to hold that baseline for themselves. You are extremely strong and extremely resilient. You don't really need to be strong or a fighter. The main thing you need is resilience. And you already have that. If you are a chronically ill person, you can know for a fact that you are already resilient. Because all of that stuff that you had to deal with in the past, you're here now, you're not there. That shows that you're resilient. And that's really awesome.